tell you what, I am excited right now because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt there is someone in this sanctuary this morning that this service is just for you. I have wrestled with what I was going to say this morning all week long, but to Pastor Scott, Pastor Terry, it has become abundantly clear that this is where I am. Praise God. A few weeks ago I was talking to you about preparing for the storm. Yeah. And I want to bounce off of that this morning. But I want to bring into that some of the things that Pastor Allen has been talking about grace leveling the playing field, and about what Kathy Nunley was saying about faith and it being making sure your speaker's connected. Well, when I shared with you that a couple of weeks ago, what I told you about was I was driving down the road and I saw a storm cloud on the horizon, and the Lord said, "Get ready, there's a storm coming." Well, had I used wisdom, I would have fared through that storm a whole lot better. But, I was a little bit cocky. I had come from River of Life Church, and I was in Texas, and God was moving, and the anointing was strong, and I just got a little cocky. I got a little prideful. And so when the Lord said, "The storm's coming, get ready," I said, "I got this." How many teenagers have you heard say that to your parents? "I got this." I found out real quick I didn't got this. Anyway, going back to hurricane season, one of the things that you'll see when you're down close to the coast is you'll see road signs that say hurricane evacuation route. There's a reason those signs are there. You're in a danger zone. So there's some clues or some signs that we're in a danger zone. And anyway, first I'm going to share with you just a little bit of that testimony, and then I'm going to go back and give you a couple of things. Because what had happened was that storm started with my mother having a car wreck and nearly dying. Now, I was the only other person on her accounts. So not only am I taking care of my mom and being at ICU every time that there's a visitation, but I'm also trying to keep up with 6 or 7 businesses. You want to talk about wearing you out fast? That's a storm. Well, that was only the beginning. Within the next 3 years, I had gone through multiple health issues, a broken engagement, and it ended up with severe depression, suicidal tendencies. And the suicidal tendencies came because I found myself back in the past, going back to the me that used to be. I found myself sitting in a gay bar, a Corona in one hand, a Marlboro in the other one, looking out at the dance floor and saying, "You people don't have a clue. There ain't no answers here." Then I looked down at my hands and I said, "What does that make you?" You're a genius. You got the answers, and where are you sitting? Anyway, I left there that night extremely depressed because I couldn't find the answers in God. I mean, the heavens were brass. I could feel nothing. I could hear nothing. I mean, nothing was happening. And a little while after that, because I just began to cry out to God. It's like, "God, I don't even know if you're hearing me, but you're the only hope I've got." Well, not long after that, I was driving through Birmingham as I was driving back and forth from Texas. And I had drove through this horrific storm. I mean, there were cars off the road. I counted at least 12 just between one side of Birmingham and the other. And I got to, as I was getting close to the church I was going to that morning, I topped Oak Mountain. And when I topped Oak Mountain, it was a beautiful day. I mean, it was clear skies, sunny. You would never know there had ever been a storm. And for the first time in 3 years, I heard God. He said, "The storm is over." That was it. The storm is over. But this storm had taken such a toll on me that I didn't even know I was hearing God. I threw my hands up and I said, "God, I haven't heard you in 3 years. What makes me think this is you?" Well, I got to the church that morning, and the Sunday school class was a leadership class. one of the ladies stood up and she said, I don't know who this is for. She said, but this has been on me all night and I can't get rid of it, so I'm just going to say it. She said, I don't know who you are, but you have felt like Daniel in the lion's den, and the Lord said to tell you today, he closes the mouth of the lions and the storm is over. How about somebody that could have fell out of a chair, buddy? I could have fell out of the chair. Well, as I was saying in the beginning, pride was the first warning sign that I was in trouble. I got this. But, you know, Proverbs 11:2 said, pride leads to disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom. Proverbs 16:18 through 20 says, pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall, and it is better to live humbly with the poor than to share the plunder with the proud. Those who listen to instruction will prosper. Those who trust the Lord will be happy. I like this one, 1 Kings 2, verse 3. This is David talking to Solomon. Observe the requirements of the Lord your God. Follow all his ways. Keep each of his laws, commands, regulations, and stipulations written in the law of Moses, so that you will be successful in all you do and wherever you go. The second warning sign is what Kathy was talking about, is your speakers being connected. And that's what's coming out of your mouth. You know, for me, what was coming out of my mouth was, you know, I did this, my stores are got 26% sales increase, you know, we're going strong, and I'm doing all this, and and it was all about I. There was not one thing in there about what God was doing. And God was doing all of it, but I had started taking the credit for it. But the other thing that I find that starts coming out of our mouth in times like that is fear. Oh my God, what am I going to do? There's a storm coming. Yeah, I heard that coming out of my family's mouth whenever that first hurricane came through with Rita and Katrina. Oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I was like, I don't know what y'all going to do. I'm going to sleep, you know. But we had boarded up windows and we had done all the storm preparation. And I just told them, I said, y'all just pick out where you're going to be, because wherever I'm going to be, it's going to be safe. So, you know, and we came through that storm with no damage at all. And then last but not least, this is one of the things, this is probably the primary reason. This is an A and B. It's money. Have you gotten in fear and let up on your giving? Have you changed your mind on tithing? And this time, believe it or not, I'm not going to Malachi 3. I'm going to Proverbs 3. Honor the Lord with thy wealth and the best part of everything your land produces. Then he will fulfill your barns with grain, and your vats will overflow with the finest wine. So even in the midst of a storm, look at Joseph. Look at how many people were sustained because he heard God. But there was a storm. He didn't get out of the storm without being in the storm. He was in the storm. But God used him. But with that, when you let go of your giving, most of the time you've let go on being in the house of God. That's why you're not giving most of the times, because you're not here. And the thing is, when you're not here, you don't have other people that can help say, hey, Kim, you know, you're getting off track a little bit. You might want to check this. You know, but if I'm in the house of God, I got people surrounding me that can say, you might want to check that. But if you're not here, nobody's helping you check that. So the declaration this morning, my response to a storm warning is not a response of fear or of pride. It is the response of wisdom. I will seek God's face, God's plan, God's direction, and I will not see disgrace. I will not see destruction or the fall, but I will listen to instruction, prosper, and be happy. I will, like the Roman centurion and Jesus, will speak the word with authority, and I will see the end result of answered prayer. I will lean on God's understanding and God's wisdom, and he will direct my path. I will honor the Lord with my wealth and my best, and he will fill my barns with grain, and my vats will overflow with the finest wine.